Disclaimer: the content shared on Somewhere Between Chaos and Calm may contain discussions of mental health conditions, trauma, and other sensitive topics that could trigger for some listeners.
Please note that although I am a medical professional, any opinions, stories, or advice shared are based on personal experiences and should not be considered medical guidance. We strongly encourage our listeners to consult with a licensed physician or mental health professional for any medical, medication, or psychological concerns. Your mental well-being matters. Please take care while listening.
Hi, everybody. It's Sarah, your neurospicy friend.
Welcome in, guys. I'm Jen, the RN, and today we're going to be talking about hormones, meds, and mental health. And we have invited a special guest this week. This is Tori. So we've mentioned previously that Sarah and I are cousins. So Sarah's brother just also happens to be my cousin, and Tori happens to be married to Sarah's brother. So we all have sort of this family relation, but we're also excited. Tori and I have both recently had children. So we are kind of in a postpartum season of life where Sarah is kind of experiencing other hormonal changes and experiences. So we're going to be diving into that this week. But first,
have a variety yes. of hormone stories today.
So many hormones. But first, why don't we start with a calm for this week? Tori, do you want to go first and share kind of where have you felt calm this week?
Oh, wow. My life is pretty much just like always chaos, I feel like. So I really had to think about that one. No, it's kind of been nice. Like our kids are on summer break now. So they're home, and I was kind of thinking like, oh no, like it's going to be so stressful. It's going to be so crazy, but it's actually been really great. Like the kids are getting along, they're playing together. I've had like times where I can just like, so I'm trying this new thing where, I try to just like let it go. So I've found that like I get so caught up in all the mom things and all the adult things that I'm like kind of short with my kids, or I'm not focusing on those kinds of things. And so I've been practicing this whole like the dishes can wait, like you don't have to finish this report for work. Like just sit down and relax and enjoy your family for a little bit. Those things will be there later. So I've been trying to do that a lot more this week. Well, lately, but it's been nice to do it this week when the kids are actually here. I get more of it. Plus, like the routines are kind of like wacky, so it's been fun. Like we had a bonfire the other night, like spur of the moment, and we've been outside a lot, going on the boat. So it's been really nice.
I love that. Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's necessarily calm, but it's definitely chaos.
But you're giving yourself that time to just like be present in that moment. And that's so hard. Jen and I talk about that. It's quite often as a mom, it's so hard to be present because we do get irritable because we're always thinking 2 steps ahead. So when you have that time to recognize it and be in it and just enjoy that calm, that's the best we can ask for some days, right?
And you can tell like how much the kids appreciate it too. Like you can tell they're like, hey, mom's actually like just chill. She's not yelling at me to do something or bossing me around. So yeah, it's been nice.
That's great.
Do you ever notice like, I feel like sometimes it's fun because then the kids almost are like feel more free to be kids and like, are able to kind of.
That's another thing too, is that I've been trying to be like, allow them to be kids, right? So like tonight, for example, we got a baby gate, and so it came in like and diapers, and it came like this huge box. It was so unnecessary. And they wanted to make like little cars or little chairs, or I wasn't even paying attention. They wanted to create something. And so they're like cutting it with scissors, and Ava's got the paint out, and it's just a big mess. And I was like, they're being kids. It's fine. Everything's fine. It's just a mess. This is a memory. Yeah. So it's been really nice to be able to just like chill out and appreciate those things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, I
It's great.
love that. That's so good. Because that's not just calm for you though. Like that's also calm for the kids a little bit, right?
Mhm.
It's not rushing off to get ready for school or getting ready for the next day or like being distracted by screens, all those things. Like they also got to have a moment of calm where they got to hang out with each other.
Mhm.
They got to do something creative. Like that's calm for them too. That's
Mhm.
amazing.
Mhm.
Love that.
Definitely.
Jen, what was your calm this week?
Oh, I was gonna go to you next. So
I know, because that's why I beat you to it.
rude. No, but my oldest is hitting a really fun age. I talk about her a lot because she is kind of my most chatty one. Um, so maybe I won't share about her actually. Okay. So my middle child. Well, okay,
You're like, wait, I
I'll share
talk
the
about her too
story.
much.
I'll share the story where I'm putting her to bed this week. And I like work full time. So I get home, I get like 4 hours in the evening with my kids, and then like have to go to bed and wake up and do it all over the next day. Um, but I was putting my daughter to bed one night this week, and she is like laying in bed. First of all, she like gets herself up into bed under the covers, and then she looks up at me and she goes, "Mommy, I just love you." I was
No.
like, "Oh, honey, like I love you too. Like I'm so glad I get to spend my day with you." And it was just like the sweetest moment of her like expressing emotion where like my a 3-year-old doesn't tend to do that a lot, but she's really like coming into awareness of her
Mhm.
emotions and her feelings, and that's been really fun. Um, my middle child too, though, he's very silly and he is getting way more verbal. Like within the past week or two, he's like just language explosion has happened. And so now just like randomly throughout the evening, he'll look around and he'll just name everybody in the room. So be like, "Hi, Mama. Hi, Dada. Hi, Warwai." And like it's just the sweetest moments to just like hear his little voice and like how he's starting to like process like where he is and who he's around and like who family is. And it's so sweet to like be able to witness his little growth. So
Aw.
yeah,
That's
we're in good
adorable.
stages.
He's just using all of his words right now, all his words. That's so sweet. Oh
It's
my
so cute.
gosh.
Hi, Mama.
Oh, I love that. Oh, yeah.
Mealy
Enjoy
found the
those
turtle
times.
today.
She found the turtle?
Yeah, we have a fish tank with turtles, and she
Yeah.
was, like, crawling around, and she realized it was there, and she just, like, kinda, like, crouched up, and she had her hands out, and she was, like, talking to it, was like, "Yeah,
Oh.
yeah," and just staring at it. It was so cute. We were just watching her, like she's like, "There's so much in this house that I've never seen."
Love that
Oh
part.
my
Yeah.
Super
gosh.
cute.
You need to pick her up and and this is when the kids were babies, because they're so short and little, right? Because 'Cause they're babies. Pick them
Mhm.
up and, like, show them the top of the refrigerator. They're gonna, like, lose their mind. They're gonna be like, "What is that?"
Rob's done that before. He, like, picked her up and carried her on and, like, "This is your brother's room. This is
Yeah,
the bathroom.
yeah.
This is the
Let him
kitchen. This is the
like,
refrigerator." Like, it was
yeah.
Oh, I
funny.
love that.
That
Let
was
him
when
be
she was, like, a
tall.
little baby, though, so it might be more fun to
Yeah.
do it now.
Yeah. Now we do that with our cat. Mike does it with our cat. He just picks the cat up and walks it around so the cat can touch stuff with her paws because we don't have little kids to pick up anymore. So that's what we do.
Look at that. That's funny.
I love
Oh
that.
my gosh. Well,
All right. You're up,
okay.
Sarah.
Yeah, I'll be honest. This week has it's been like this is one of my busiest weeks of this entire month. I don't know why I scheduled a doctor's appointment every single day this week. Every single day was some sort of a doctor. And it wasn't even just like the online ones. No, it's just like you got to go somewhere. So I thought, oh my gosh, this week is going to be so crazy. I'm going to tell you, I don't know if it's the mindful work, if it's the meds, if it's the scheduling, but there was maybe one day where I was like real overwhelmed, but the rest of the week has been really calm. But I think it's because summer break. Tori, I'm having a lot of that same like the kids there was a night where the kids made forts in the house and they slept in their forts, and one kid was sleeping under the coffee table, and I'm like, should we go get him and put him to bed? And Mike's like, no, it's summertime. Who cares? Let him sleep under the table like a frat house. So that's what happened. And it was great. And it was calm because I didn't have to get all worked up about, okay, you got to get up and you got to get yourself tucked into bed. No, like it was like, okay, everybody just kind of got to do their thing. And then my kid wakes up the next morning and he's like, Mom, I slept so good. And I was like, you slept under the coffee table. And he's like, I know, it was great. And I was like, okay.
Whenever you want, the coffee table's there, bro.
You know? So I had the whole week has felt, it's felt really calm, which is weird and good. I don't know.
Yeah, there's such a, I feel like we so often talk about how stressful school is for kids, but like equally stressful for parents. Like trying to make sure, like not only are we getting ourselves and getting everybody ready, but like, I don't know, I feel like as moms, we take on some of that stress of like, there's an assignment due, or you have to bring cookies to school, or you have to like submit this form, like all the stuff that goes along with school that falls on our moms.
Jen, you're right. Because you know what I thought this morning though, too? Maybe part of this calm is because I get to sleep in. So instead of waking up at 6 a.m. to just, and mind you, my kids are older. They're all teens, preteens. So I get up for the sheer, like making sure people get out of the door. I am not, I don't, they do their own lunches. They pack their own bags. They get themselves dressed. I no longer have that responsibility. However, I'm still mom. And I still have to get up to make sure they actually like, I can say bye, have a great day, love you. Like that's all that I participate in anymore. But I still wake up at 6. And the amount of mornings where I'll look at my 15-year-old and be like, you know, I don't even have to go to school anymore, but I'm here for you. Like I am here
doing it.
Like I haven't had to do that this week, which is beautiful.
Yeah.
Maybe that's such a relief this week. I guess actually sleep in.
It's summer.
Oh my gosh. So I'm so glad that we've all had so much calm this week.
So much calm.
Let's talk about the chaos. Let's get into it. All right. So Jen, you start.
All right. Well, my family decided that with a 3-year-old and a 2-year-old and a 1-year-old that we are going to restart camping. And I don't know what got into our heads that was like, you know what's a good idea with a 3-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a 1-year-old? Going and pitching a tent somewhere and figuring out how to camp again when you've done it maybe once in your 6 years of being married. But you know what? Great. We're going to do it. And so it's been like one of those things where I feel like my brain is going nonstop. And it's not even necessarily that I have to do all the planning or that, but it's just one of those things where I have that constant feeling of like stress and anxiety that something's going to go wrong or somebody's not going to sleep and it's just there. Like it's almost that like impending doom of like, I feel like we're going to forget something or something's going to go wrong, but like, it's just been there all week. Like, I feel like I'm forgetting to do something or like I haven't prepped enough. And even though we haven't even left yet, like we have not gone anywhere. I think everything's packed. I let my husband do most of that today. And my mom was asking me questions like, where are you guys going? How are you going to set this up? Do you have all these things? I was like, you know what? Honestly, I don't really know. And we're going to get there and we're going to have to find out because I can't even process doing things yet because my brain is just stuck. And I just feel like it's frozen there for right now.
What are the analysis paralysis?
Yes.
You're in camping analysis paralysis right now.
Just like frozen with like the thought of anxiety. Though. Yeah.
Camping, the camping itself started as a survival skill because people needed to survive the wilderness. And now you're like, let's do this recreationally and take all of our children. But the foundation of camping is survival. It's being out in the wilderness. It's being out in the woods, you know, having a campfire, doing that stuff. So it's not like what you're thinking or experiencing is that far off of like I feel like that would be
Yeah.
totally normal because you're going to plan for all the events, right? The bugs
Right.
and the dirt
Mhm.
and the scrapes and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Do you feel like though also because I think that I'm not I glamp. I'm not. I've tried the like tent camping like one time. It's not for me. I can't. I need more. I just but I also have this strong sense of like, okay, once I go off and I do the thing, whatever I don't have, like it's gonna be fine. And like nobody's on like life-saving medications if we forget
Right.
or something like that. So are you
Yeah.
settling into that maybe a little bit, do you think?
Maybe a little bit. Yeah. I mean, like, it's not like we're going to the middle of nowhere. We're not, I don't know if you guys heard that there were 2 people that died on like in a remote island in Michigan this week, but like, we're not going there, I promise.
Good thing.
Maybe that's part of my anxiety. But yeah, I mean, we're going to like a city, like there will be places to go pick up food if we need it or things like that. Yeah, I don't know. It was just one of those feelings that like I feel like I should be doing more to prepare. And maybe that's just that mom guilt too of like I feel like I should be doing more and yet like I just don't have the capacity right now to like process what more I need to be doing. And so I just kind of was like, we'll figure it out.
And they're so young that they don't know that you're not doing more, right? They just
That's
know they're
true.
going camping. They're just
Yeah.
like, we're gonna have fun. And I was thinking while you were talking about that, like thinking back on trips that I went on, like as a kid or even as an adult, those trips that are like a complete crapshoot are like the best memories, right? You're like, remember when we did this and this happened? Oh my gosh. So maybe that could turn into that if something does go
Yeah.
wrong. But nothing's gonna go wrong.
No,
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be so great. It's gonna be perfect.
We're all
Yeah.
gonna be safe.
Yeah.
The best I can
We'll
hope
come
for.
back in one piece.
Yeah, exactly.
That's perfect though, Tori. I think because like remember that, gents. Take that
Yeah.
with you when you go. Like, yeah, some of the best memories come from the times when you're like, oh my gosh, we all forgot socks. Like, I mean, don't forget the socks. But
I was like, Cody, do I need to bring socks for any of the kids? Like, do they need socks?
yeah.
Honest opinion. They're wearing sandals. We're going to the campground. Socks are just
Yeah.
gonna get dirty and in the way.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
take no socks.
Yeah, you're
We're not doing
camping.
that.
No, you don't need socks. No.
Yeah.
Socks.
I remember like
I
one of the
agree.
times I went on a camping trip as an adult and literally like a raccoon ate our food the first night. We literally laid in the tent and we were like, the raccoon is eating our food.
This is not what I want to
We
hear
just laid
about.
there like there's nothing we can do right now. We just listened to it, just open the cooler and like we're like, what? So we had to go to the store the next day and get more stuff. So I mean, but it's a memory, right? Like you
It's a
talked about. Like,
memory.
remember
True.
when we went camping and the raccoon ate all our
Yeah.
food? So yeah,
Oh
it'll
my
be fun.
Okay.
gosh. I love it. That's
I
great.
can't wait to hear the stories, honestly.
Yeah.
I know.
Well,
I'm
yeah,
so
when we
excited to
get
hear how
back.
camping goes. All right. So, Tori, tell us about what. So, we all know that the entire week is just mainly full of chaos. That's why we always start with the calm segment first. So,
Yep.
tell us the thing, though, this week that was your chaos.
So I have kind of had the same feeling that Jen has had this week because, like I said, our kids are on summer break. And so they're all here. And I have a job and I have to work. And I've gotten a really big caseload conveniently right during summer break. So I had all these days that I actually had to work outside of the home. And I have kids at home. Like I had to figure out childcare. We had doctor's appointments, t-ball practice, the dance recitals this weekend. So we had dance class and dance rehearsal. So it was like this huge week of like appointments, kind of like what you said too. So I had that feeling of like, this week is going to suck. You know, like this, there is too much. I'm never going to get a second and it's going to be stressful. And it really honestly wasn't that bad. Yesterday was the worst day. And I remember just being like, okay, I just want this day to be over with. Like once I got through the whole work day and was home, I'm like, oh, I did it. So it's just like each day there's some big thing that I had to remember or had to figure out, and it's just I know exactly what feeling you're talking about. It's just like a lingering, dreadful feeling. Like I know exactly what you're talking about. I don't know how to explain it any better than you did, but
Yeah.
I also had that feeling this week, so I feel you.
Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah, it
just
just
general anxiety, general mom
Mhm.
anxiety, because
It's a mom thing for
the
sure.
wheels don't stop.
Yeah.
We have to be conscious about stopping them and being like, "Okay, like, that was too much. I need to settle down," right? Like,
Yeah.
but when you're going 110 and you're just one thing to the next thing, and then you got a kid screaming over here, and you got another one who's hungry over here, and you don't have the space to be mindful to say, "Wait, I just need a moment. I just need to breathe." Because before you know it, it's like 11:30 at night, and you're like, "Did I do anything today
yeah.
for
Mhm.
me?" Or no, you
Yeah.
just pass out and you do it all over the next day.
Yeah. A moment and you get to the end of the night and you're like, "Can I take a shower? Like, is that can
Yeah.
I leave? Can I do something for myself? Like,
Yeah.
can I
Is it
clean my
over?
body
Like,
now?"
is
Yeah.
it
Like,
over? Are we
are we
done?
done with the chaos for a minute so that I can go jump in the shower and then just like
Yeah.
get ready to do it again?
So going back to what we were just talking about, I actually had a moment with Ava tonight. So, like, the whole week has been really crazy, right? Today was actually like the last crazy day, other than the recital on Saturday. But so we're driving back from rehearsal, and she is just like going, talking, 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 talking. And that is just who she is. And I love her for that. She's very much just a talkative, active child. But I needed it. Like, I just needed a minute. So she was like rolling down her window and doing all these things. And I kind of like snapped at her and I was like, I told you no, whatever. And then we were driving and I said to her, I said, Ava, I know that you are just a talkative person and you really love to talk. And I love that about you. But I've had a lot going on this week and I'm just feeling really stressed. And I just need a minute to like not have to talk. And I just need it to be quiet. And she was like, okay, mom. And I said, do you feel like you say everything that goes on in your brain? And she was like, yeah. So, I mean, it was like a moment of like, I'm like, that's okay. That's totally okay. I love you for that, but I just need a minute. So, like, I love
Yeah.
those moments. We have those a lot. Like, usually after so many things have happened, and we had this thing actually where I sat her down and I was like, I feel like I am always just very irritated and short and snappy. And it's not you. It's not anything to do with you. It's not your fault. It's just a me thing. I'm feeling overwhelmed. She's like, what does overwhelmed mean? So I had to explain that to her. And I said, how about we make a deal? Like, I will let you know that what's happening is making me feel overwhelmed and I need you to be mindful of that. I didn't say it in these words, obviously, but
Mhm.
I'm just, um, and I said, and when you notice that I'm getting really angry and snappy, you can say, Mom, you're feeling overwhelmed. Take a deep breath. And we've been doing that, and it's really great. It's super sweet. I love it so much. Not
That's
every
such
day,
great
all
like
day, but
emotional education for her.
yeah, yeah. She's a very emotional child, so I feel like I have to do that emotional education quite a bit, but I'm probably not even the right person to do that because I don't have very good control over my emotions most of the time, but
Well, I almost
she's really smart, and that's the thing is that she's so intelligent that she, like, actually understands it.
yeah, I feel like sometimes like, I feel similarly to that. I'm like, "How am I supposed to educate you on emotions when I don't even know what I'm feeling?" But I think having someone from the outside being able to, like, point to, "Hey, I'm noticing, like, this behavior. I'm noticing you're talking more or
Mhm.
you're getting angry," and even for our daughters to notice that in
Yeah,
us and be like, "Hey, mom, like,
yeah.
you're starting to act this way." Like, I think that can help us trigger so much more and like
Mhm,
not trigger can help us recognize like really
mhm.
what those emotions are to have that outside person, someone we trust, of course, right? Not just like someone walk up to us on the street and be like, "Hey, you seem like you're grumpy," but like
Right.
someone who I trust to be like, "Hey, what's going on?" Or like, "You might need a break right now." Because that's really what we do for our kids too, is like,
Mhm.
"Hey, let's take a break, let's try and
Yeah,
like regulate."
yeah.
um yeah, that's really cool.
And it's
I think it's really
it's a good, Tori, like, just know, I think as a parent, because parents we have this presence about us where we're supposed to like know all the things and have all the answers for the kids and all this. But the absolute truth of it is this is day one for all of us. Like, we don't really know all the answers to parenting. And to be completely honest with our children and say, listen, mom doesn't all the time recognize when she's feeling overwhelmed. And I know sometimes you feel this way too. We are both humans. We both love each other. Like, let's work with each other and help each other out on this and be more mindful of it. And that's just a human response. That's not like we want to feel bad about it as moms because we want to be like, oh my gosh, why aren't we perfect? And we have it all figured out for them. But
I'm traumatizing them. Or like,
yeah.
Listen, I'll tell you, like, all day long, my parents we talked about feelings little to none growing up. And now as a 40-year-old, I'm like, I got to figure out freaking feelings. Like, come on. What does that look like if I would have learned about this when I was much younger? Maybe I would be more mindful now. Maybe I would understand, like, sometimes my sadness is really depression. Like, I don't know. Who knows? Like, just saying.
Yeah.
Hey. So that leads us into our hot topic this week, though, you guys. Let's talk about some hormones, some meds, and some mental health. Because I will tell you that over the last 2 years, I have had a significant, so I'm 41. When I was about 38, I started to recognize that I was having some it's things that they say as a woman you're supposed to start tracking: hot flashes, sleep disturbances, joint pains, muscle loss. The list goes on and on and on about all the things that we're supposed to track. But I was probably about 38 when I really started to recognize these things. So now at 41, really getting in tune with my physical self and my hormones, and years and years of tracking how much I'm not sleeping, how much my estrogen is dropping, and how I can't lift anything because my muscle mass is losing itself.
Can I just tell you that for a long time, I thought that hot flashes were just something that moms got because both your mom and my mom would always wear the Dickies.
Yes.
I was convinced that it was just like something for adults. Like, eventually, like, I didn't think that it had anything.
Even our great grandmother, I can remember. Like, I remember her always having like that's a thing I remember about my great grandmother. That she had such terrible hot flashes, and so you when it approaches you and you start having to address your physical self and you start like really digging into this and looking into it. It's a whole rabbit hole, you guys. It's just, and then on top of which, somebody like myself who's got borderline personality disorder, and on any given day, my mental stability is maybe not at its sharpest. And then you throw in brain fog and night sweats and lack of sleep. And then it's like, okay, who's the crazy one here? Is it the hormones? Is it the mental health? Is it like, you don't know. So you're throwing all the stuff at the wall. You're seeing all the doctors. So that was a bit of my chaos and where I'm at right now with the whole hormone stuff. But let's talk about where you guys are though too, because you guys are in a bit of a different place with the babies. Well, a whole other set of hormones.
It's so fascinating to think about because, okay, Tori, night sweats. Did you get those with pregnancy or postpartum? Hot flashes for sure. Lack of sleep. Like, you look at some of that list of things that like comes along with perimenopause or hormone changes, and you're like, this sounds like pregnancy, but for the rest of my life.
I didn't even think about that.
I was just thinking about that when you were talking about hot flashes. Like, I have noticed that ever since I've had Maylee, I sweat like a freaking pig. Like, I could be doing absolutely like bare minimum. And like one time I was cleaning and the kids are like, "Why are you sweating so bad?" I'm like, "I don't know. It's like dripping down my face. I got to wipe it out of my eyes." And I never sweat like that before I had Mealy. So it's just weird how your body like literally changes when you go through all those things. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Physically.
Tori, I'm sure you recognize, both of you guys, like we all have multiple children. And I feel like each time there's something a little bit different that happens with your body. And like things happen a little bit differently. Postpartum feels a little bit different. And I just like, even that idea is so crazy that our bodies each time are adjusting and like trying to figure out what we need is so difficult because each day, kind of like Sarah said, like each day we're a new person and we're experiencing this stuff for the first time and trying to navigate through like, yeah, I thought I understood my body and I thought I understood who I am and how things are working. And I woke up today and now I feel super grumpy and I don't like super irritable and I don't know why. And is that my meds or is that my lack of sleep or is that my hormones just like throwing me out of whack? And it could be any number of things.
Yeah. So
I
go ahead, Tori.
I thought that I was so prepared for Mealy because, I've had a baby before. I've been pregnant before. I know exactly what it's going to be like. And it was completely like her birth was traumatic as heck. The pregnancy was awful. Like I was miserable. I remember Rob was like, "I did not know you were going to be like this." I'm like, miserable. I forgot how much I hate this. And then I had such terrible postpartum depression. And it was extreme. And it was weird because I had so much more happiness and support and help with her than I did with Ava. So it was just kind of weird, like why now am I having such bad postpartum depression, but I didn't when I had like, little support and
well, but Tori, can you just address though too, because your kids have not a significant age difference, but I mean there is a span there, right?
oh yeah. Yeah, Ava's 6 and Maylee's 1. So
Right. So, and then at that time though too, you also were one age to another age and you were right on that peak where things start to like naturally your hormones start to change anyways, given certain ages that women are, things just start to drop off significantly, which is it's so sad. Like
drop right off the edge of a cliff.
Why our bodies do this like 32 35 and they're like okay, your hormones just drop and all of a sudden your body's in this like mode where it's like, oh wait, we are no longer going to nurture children, we are going to start shriveling up and drying out, and you're like, wait, what? I just had a kid, calm down. Like, so
I just thought it was so interesting, like the difference in my situation, like how you think like there's situational depression, right? So you're depressed over a situation. Obviously I have bipolar disorder, so that's not the case for me most of the time, but my situation
it's you can't say obviously you have bipolar for our listeners.
That's not the case for me most of the time. So I just mean like I was in a completely different space then, mentally, and I would expect being in that space, the postpartum depression would be severe. Now I'm like happy. I'm happily married. Like the most stable I've been in my entire life, probably. Like Rob was so helpful. Everybody was so helpful. So why then?
Okay, so let's talk about like being diagnosed bipolar. When I was pregnant, I had to stay on an antidepressant. I had to stay on something very, very low dose because I would just go off the deep end a little bit. So while you were pregnant, did you stay on something to help with your other symptoms?
That is ironic that you say that because also with Ava, I was on a medication that I had to stop. And
that was 6 years ago, right?
Yes. Yeah.
6 years.
in 2018. But I remember when I found out I was pregnant, I was taking a medication that I knew, like, I wasn't sure. So I called, and I don't know if I actually talked to the psychiatrist or if it was the receptionist or what, because they were like, just stop taking it immediately.
Oh, Lord. Okay.
I had
Probably not the
bad
psychiatrist.
results. Oh my gosh. I was miserable. I felt like I was dying for like 2 weeks. And then I got like a little bit of a break, and then all of a sudden morning sickness hits, and it was like the worst. But so I got off of that medication like abruptly with Ava. But with Maylee, I could stay on my medication the whole time. So even that like was really crazy to me.
There you go. When were you diagnosed with bipolar?
Ooh.
Do you remember like how old you were? Or?
I was probably like early 20s, 21, 22.
Yeah.
Ish. Yeah.
Did you feel like you had kind of a good balance of where you were when you got pregnant with Ava, or not necessarily?
Like with the bipolar disorder?
Yeah, and like with meds and like other treatments, stuff like that.
So that situation is just kind of like, so yeah, no, I did not have a balance. I had no idea.
Yeah.
No clue.
So,
I was just
so all right, let's circle back to that and reframe that, because I think that that's really important, and I can also speak to that same thing because okay, so with your first pregnancy and feeling like, well, one, there is this thing that our bodies kind of do to help protect us some. Jen's talked about this before with her first couple months, like fresh out of having a new baby, where she just forgets like everything. Your body is trying to protect you. It is your brain, your physical self is trying to protect yourself from what something might feel as it's a traumatic event. So situational chaos for sure in a first pregnancy or in any pregnancy at any time can absolutely be a thing. But our brains and our bodies over time is going to like lessen what that feels like, because it's going to create this shell that's going to say, we're going to protect yourself from that. It's going to creep up later in your life.
Don't worry, it'll be back.
Don't worry. You will have to address it later. But for right now, we're going to say, maybe it wasn't so bad. And Tori, knowing some of the work that you're currently doing, like that's one of those areas where I suffer from the same thing. My first go round with being pregnant and all of this, it was a very different situation. It was a different relationship and all of that. And I did what I had to do, and my brain and my body did what it had to do to protect itself. So looking back on it now, I can address it for what it was, and that maybe I appeared to be a healthier self, but it was maybe also a self that was in complete and utter survival mode. So very, very different from being in a safe place in the same situation, new pregnancy, completely safe. This is the first time you're experiencing it. Your body doesn't know how to react. Your body knows how to react to a survival situation when you're pregnant. It may not know how to react in this new situation where you're completely safe. And it's like, well, wait, but we're supposed to be in chaos, right? Like, that's how we do pregnancy. No.
Yeah, I really like that. That's a good point of view. I never really thought of it that way.
Yeah.
That's
like I was allowed to feel that, like I didn't have to survive. I could be depressed for the first time in my life.
Yes.
Well,
and,
even like
previously, like I literally was like not allowed to be depressed because that like reason everything like you're crazy, you have bipolar disorder, you're whatever. So I was like trying not to be. I was like trying not to be crazy.
And now when you look back on it, you're like, but I did okay. I did okay.
I did great. I am so proud of myself. Not being on meds and being in that situation, like, wow. Yeah.
And look at that kid. She's incredible.
I know. I mean, I may have messed up because I kind of like clung to her a little bit when she was a baby. And I think I'm now realizing that probably wasn't the best idea because she's very attached to me. But yeah, no, it was a great experience. Like after the fact, obviously, but
yeah. Well, I
and
feel
that
like
whole
that's
looking back
so
on it now, like, I will go to, like I'll be talking about things, and, I'm like, "Wow, that was I can't believe that I just said that out loud. Like, I can't believe I went through that. That was terrible." And I just, like, forget, like, how bad it was sometimes.
yeah.
In a lot of situations, actually.
We call
I feel
that
like
PTSD, my dear.
Yep.
A little bit.
I think I have, like, a lifetime diagnosis of that. Just there forever.
Jen, what
I
were
feel
you gonna
like part
say?
of it, well, it's so full circle too, right? Because we were talking about why do our kids act out more around mom, or why do I feel like I can lash out more at my husband? And it's like, why are you now allowed to feel depressed after this
Mhm.
pregnancy and not after a previous pregnancy? But because you're safe and comfortable, and that allows you to again be your true self and feel the feelings that you're feeling, instead of, like Sarah said, instead of being in that survival mode and knowing I just have to get through it, like, no, this time I can actually feel and be in tune with what I'm feeling and
Mhm.
know that, like, my body's in chaos, my brain is in chaos, and, like, I just need to feel where I'm gonna end up and know that I have a safe person there to guide me through that too.
Yeah, definitely. I
But
find
in
that a
it,
lot,
you
like,
don't
in my
know that.
sessions.
Right.
Like, in it though, you don't know
Right.
that
No.
though.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Like,
no.
when you're in it, you're like, "What the heck is" because that's the other part of it, especially I
Mhm.
think bipolar, BPD, like, we don't really know how to handle feelings well, and then when you give us good feelings, it can sometimes even feel worse because you're like, "Wait, I don't you've not felt it enough. You don't know how it's supposed to feel." And
Mhm.
so your body fights it and you say, well, I'm not supposed to feel this good. I'm not supposed to feel this safe and this happy. Like that can't be
Mhm.
normal. And so you fight it and
You
you make,
self-sabotage.
self-sabotage. Yep, exactly.
Mhm. Yeah. I found that a lot, like, when I'm doing, like, counseling sessions and stuff, like, I'm really talking about how Rob is, like, a really safe space for me, and it's like I mean, I always knew that, but it's just really, like, eye-opening to be like, "Wow, I really do actually have, like, a safe space to be myself and feel feelings for, like, the first time," So, that's really great. I actually remembered something when you were talking about that, about my story. So, when I was talking about my conversation with Ava in the car, there was a point to that. I didn't get to it, though. So, you said the kids are more comfortable with their parents, and so that part of that conversation was when I asked her, like, do things, like, come up? Like, do you just say out loud everything that you think in your head? She said, "Yes." But then she said, "But I don't always do that. I only do that when I'm with you." And I was like, "Is it because you're comfortable?" And she's like, "Yeah, I'm only comfortable with you." So that was really sweet to hear.
Yeah.
Then I
Yes.
felt bad because I was like, "I need space and quiet." And she's like, "Well, then talk to them." I'm like, "Dang, you suck." But that
Yeah,
was
but
the whole point of my story, and I forgot until just now. So I don't know
Wait,
if you're able to add
remember
anything there.
remember as moms though too, we have earned that space. And I know that you guys probably don't recognize this yet. Your kids will have to get a little bit older and you'll have to get a little bit of the less like clinginess of the child to you. But there will come a point where no, like you've earned that space because that human was once a part of your physical self. You have earned that space to be like, I am going to hide in the bathroom for 15 minutes and nobody talk to me. And that is okay because you have done so much work for those little people to feel safe, to be around you, to constantly be coming up to you and asking you 15 questions all at one time. It's okay to be like, my person needs some space from you. I love
Mhm.
you dearly, but they also have to grow independent. They also have to answer those 15 questions for themselves someday. So,
Mhm.
giving them space, giving you space, that's a good thing. That's a thing because
Mhm.
they need that to figure themselves out too, right? Ava will
I'm
someday have to figure out how to talk and express feelings, and maybe it's not just to you,
Right. Yeah, I'm
right?
really, like, right in the middle of that right now, like, understanding that and trying to accept that because I always feel so guilty. Like, I'm
Mhm.
their mom, I should be available to them, I should not, like, need this space, I should not need them to be quiet, I should be listening to them and paying attention to them every second of the day, I should let her sit on my lap and climb in on me and get in my face all the time, I'm her mom. And it's like, I have to remind myself that I am a person. Like, I am in all aspects of my life, and even like at home and at work, people need me, right? Like someone is always needing me. So that's just like what I'm naturally doing all the time. It's like people need me, think like I need to do these things. And I never take time for myself ever. So when I prioritize that and I do the things that I want to do, or I tell my kids to like give me some space, I feel guilty. So I'm right there, like right now, like trying to work through that actually in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jen, I want you to tell us about your postpartum experience still too, because one, and you can retell the story because I freaking love that story about what happens after the baby comes. But you've got 3 little kids, all very, very close in age. Have your hormones settled down at all? Like, do you feel like so now you have an IUD, which is
yeah.
I
My hair is still falling out, if that counts. So I never feel, yeah. Yeah, so my story about postpartum comes when I was getting ready to have our second child. We're like, I'm, 8, 9 months pregnant, and I was like, this is gonna be easy. Like, it was the first one was so good. Once we got them home, like we just, we'll be fine. My husband was like, "What do you mean? Like, those first 2 weeks are horrible. Like, the child is crying all the time. No one sleeps in the house, blah, blah, blah." And I was like, "What do you mean? Like, it wasn't that bad the first time. Like, this kid was totally fine." He's like, "You don't remember any of it, do you?" I'm like, literally, even now, I look back at like probably most of my maternity leave with my third child, and I think about there are certain things that I can pick out, like I can pick out my daughter's first day of school or like stuff like that, but like the day-to-day grind of what it takes to have a newborn, I just like my brain blocks out because it's like you don't need to remember the pain that you were in, or like
survival.
what your brain was feeling. Yeah,
survival mode. Yeah,
total survival mode. And I think like I thank my hormones for that protection, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, I think so much. You just get on that roller coaster and there's no stopping it. Like there's a baby here now, and that baby needs food and sleep and a mother and a father and other things, clothing, diapers, I don't know, all the things babies need. And you just have to kind of,
you do all the you do all the motions sometimes, and you don't always there's not always a brain connection to the diapers, to the feedings, to the waking up 15 times in the middle of the night. Because let's be honest, the more we study the human brain, personalities, physicalities, like our bodies are going to do the things to protect us. So Jen, in your case, like your body said, child buried was pretty extreme. We're going to turn this off for a little bit so you can just kind of like recover and not have to worry about all of these things. You're going through the motions, you're doing the stuff. Tori, your situation was, hey, I'm in survival. I'm going to just buck up and get everything done. And brain's like, okay, well, we're just going to hang out over here until you're done and ready. And then we'll talk about that stuff later. Right. So there's an aspect, I can look back on it now that my kids are older and be like, oh yeah, I see that all now. But I didn't see it when my kids were young. I didn't see it either. And don't get me wrong, like there's still things like now as a teenagers are dealing with different types of stressors, but you also have to let the reins go a bit because they have to go and learn to be independent people a little bit. So I think I'm just falling into a different set of survival, but all of this, the motherhood beginning to end probably it's all survival with moments of like really happy times, right? When the kids are saying, love you, mama, and all those things, right? Like all those really happy times, sleeping under the coffee table, having the mindful conversations in the car. Those are the things that we got to hang on to, because the rest of it is just survival. It's climbing that mountain, not falling off, like, right?
Providing the food and the clothes.
Yeah. Yeah. And along the way, though, recognizing, especially individuals who maybe deal with mental health disorders, that we do have to be mindful when our hormones go a little awry. Are your meds still working? Are you on the right things? I mean, Jen, as a nurse, knowing that our hormones and our meds sometimes will fall out of alignment. That is a correct statement?
Yeah. 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 I
So,
think
yeah, go.
it's just like, so I tell a story about a patient that I met one time who all of a sudden at menopause began to have significant suicidal ideation. Um, and it was so shocking. Like, I had known this woman um, through much of her, like through other activities that we had done. We went to, we worked together in other areas. And then I happened to meet her at work, and she had been having these, just like such a change in her mindset and in her brain. Like, literally brain chemistry was changing because of the way that her hormones were flowing through her body. And
Mhm.
it just made me think so much about how difficult it is to be a woman, partially, but realizing that, yeah, different times of our life, different times of the month, that like it's just so much harder to get a grip on the way that meds and that mental health is gonna happen in a woman's body, because there's still so much to learn about it. Like, all scientists can keep doing is just learning more about what's going on in a woman's body, because we've still never really figured out how it all works together. Um, and so, yeah, like you said, like sometimes the hormones are not going to align with the meds that you're taking, and doctors may not know that. It might be something that like it's not common knowledge yet. It's not a very studied field. Women's health in general is one of the lower studied fields, along with pediatrics, interestingly enough. So, like, the two areas where, you think about puberty, where our
Mhm.
hormones really go into whack. And we see a lot of kids who are, if you're developmentally delayed and they can't express those changes. You think about being a teenage girl again, right? And like all those hormones flowing, just so much PMS. There's like all this irritability and anger, and yet like just trying to figure out what's going on with your body. If you can't express that to someone, which hardly any of us can express it, but like if people aren't seeing it,
Mhm.
you're not showing it, like that can cause so much change in behavior in
Yeah.
those early teen years for puberty. And then you look at pregnancy, and then you look at menopause, and all these different stages in a woman's life where our hormones really start to change, and it really affects that brain chemistry that's happening.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Um, I do think that a part of a part of what I am going through, and a part of how this podcast came to fruition, is because I got dropped into perimenopause. I started doing some digging, and also figured out that my meds stopped working the way
Mm,
that they should have been, because over a course of 3 to 5 years, my hormones started to really go haywire.
mm,
So, the same things that I have been doing just didn't work anymore, and I had to address it, and it came to a real hard stop where
mhm.
things started to get really scary for me to be able to step back and be like, "Oh, there is a whole mess of hormones, meds, and mental health here that I need to address."
Yeah.
And that's where we are. So, one of the key things to, if you feel like, so for our listeners who have listened to all of our stories of just one, no, you are not alone. There are no straightforward answers when it comes to, am I hormonal? Am I struggling with a mental health disorder? Am I depressed and I've never been depressed before? There are no straight answers for this. However, if you can be mindful enough with yourself to know that something is just not feeling right, and you are not feeling like your normal self, whatever normal might feel to you, one of the first things that you can do is really start tracking your own cycles. And we're not just talking menstrual, we're talking sleep cycles, we're talking irritability cycles. I mean, you can just on a day-to-day, just a mood cycle. Anybody can do this, and it will help. You do have to be consistent with it. There are a bunch of apps out there. You could just write it down on a piece of paper every day, and that would be fine too. But tracking your own self and how you're feeling on a day-to-day, it's going to be one of the key things. So when you do get the chance to talk to your physician, to talk to your psychiatrist, psychologist, talk with your therapist, anybody that you need to really work it out, you can come to them to the table with a, hey, I've been tracking this for a couple of weeks. It seems to be a little bit off. So our dare for you this week, give yourself some sort of a tracker. We dare you, track your hormones, track your mood, track your sleep, track your meds. Start somewhere if you are feeling like something is off. And Jen, what's the truth this week?
The truth, as always, is that we love you and we appreciate you listening in.
And we are so grateful to our special guest, Tori, today.
Thanks
who
for
you will
being
be
here.
seeing more of.
It's
Thank
been
you,
fun.
Tori.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Until next week, we will see you somewhere between the chaos and the calm.